Hello everyone, thanks for joining us on this Saturday and welcome to this Specialist Trading educational presentation where today I want to talk to you about 5 weeks to take your trading to the next level. Now think of the level that you're currently on with your current trading plan, your strategy, your system, whatever market you're trading, whatever time frame. If you're like most traders, you've probably seen a small amount of wins, and when you had these winning trades you thought you were doing pretty well. And then you went into a series of losses. You were in some type of sustained drawdown. At this point, you most likely gave back everything that you had made during those trades, right? So you feel discouraged. You're not getting the type of results you want. You paid a lot of money for a particular strategy, maybe $10,000, $20,000 you've put into the markets, and you're not seeing the type of results you want. So it's extremely frustrating. I know firsthand because when I first started trading 4 decades ago, I went through this exact same scenario. So I know how difficult it can be and how desperate you can feel at times. For example, looking at a chart like this, most traders would say in MTP, this was just in this last week or so, that there's not much happening here. And in fact, we're most likely in a range market, so you don't really want to touch this stock. But what if I told you that I could actually reveal a very simple way to view the markets differently? And that was, in fact, by looking at the same chart, you would have known right here on this bar that there was a buyer's bias in this particular stock, MTP, and that if anything, you should be applying some type of structure in the form of a strategy, a buy mode, or just something so that you could position yourself to go long this, because the very next day, the stock jumped 250% in its price level in just one day. So what if I told you in 5 weeks I could teach you how to take your trading to the next level? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today with some really simple and really basic ways in which to improve your trading. And that's why we developed our new university. This is the PTS Primo Charting University. And I'm going to go into detail today explaining just exactly what it is, when it starts, and how you can become a student of mine in the university. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for a total of 43 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. So that's where we get the name Specialist Trading. I know a lot of you don't know what a specialist is because there aren't a lot of them around anymore because the markets have pretty much gone the way of electric trading. But before we had, all this advanced online trading, there were people that had to make markets in stocks. Okay, these were actually traders that made markets, and they specialized in making markets. So that's where you got the name Specialist Trading. So in other words, if you wanted to buy a stock, let's say IBM, in the old days, in the 70s and 80s, what you would do is you call your stockbroker. Your stockbroker in turn would contact the floor broker who's on the floor representing that firm. Once he got the order, let's say to buy 100 shares of IBM, he would walk up to the trader who specialized in making a market in IBM. That was the specialist. And so he would either buy or sell that 100 shares from the trader. So this is what I did. I specialized in making markets roughly in about 50 or 60 stocks. I was a specialist during the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. So I've seen and traded everything you can imagine. Any system or any trading plan that you've heard of before, most likely it's been around. It's just been renamed or rebranded. So in my 4 decades plus of experience in trading, I know what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't work. So there's no reason to waste your time spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Most of the students that come to us say they spent upwards of $20,000 to even $50,000 searching for that Holy Grail. When we can teach you actually what works in terms of consistency. Because, as I said, I think I'm probably in the upper echelon of educators that have been trading for 4 decades and plus. So, like I said, I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't. Now today, I'm going to be sharing with you a great new course we have. This is a 5-week live course that we're going to be teaching you starting in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to go into detail, sharing with you exactly what is offered in this course. But before we begin, once again, as always, we are first required to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results and share with you exactly what is offered in our 5-week course. This is a live course, by the way. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the examples I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now we have a good crowd here on this Saturday morning. Once again, I want to thank you all for attending. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there if you'd like to copy that down. Every day I post different educational information, anywhere from signals our strategies have generated to little bits of financial wisdom. So lots of great free education. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, if you've come here today thinking that, well, Steve said 5 weeks to taking my trading to the next level, he must be going to talk about what he thinks the market's going to do. Or maybe he's going to talk about what stock I should buy or what stocks I should sell. And so I basically just have to listen to him and I'll know exactly what to do. Well, if you've come here today thinking that's what we do, the way most other webinars do, you've come to the wrong place because that goes entirely against our philosophy of education. We feel that, in fact, that style or that method is actually what leads most traders on a road to losses. This is what causes most failures. In fact, it's been estimated that 85% of all traders lose money. So the point is, if that's what the entire industry is based on, obviously it doesn't work. So what are we doing that's different? Well, once again, we are first and foremost an educational company. Our only goal is simply to educate you. We never tell our traders what to buy. We never tell our traders what to sell. In fact, we never tell them where to enter or where to exit. We never tell them where to place their stop. What we do is educate you different variables and ways in which to apply all these different categories. And then we work with you so that you can ultimately decide on your own trading plan. One would say, well, why do I have to do that? Why can't I just copy what these other traders are doing? Because once again, that's what the entire industry is based upon. And that's why 85% of all traders fail. So obviously that doesn't work, right? 85%. Think of it. If there are 100 people in today's class today, 85 of you will ultimately fail. And that means you'll lose all the money you've set aside for trading. That's a terrible statistic. So obviously, blindly following what someone says in a chat room or a trading room, or blindly following what the earnings reports are supposed to be, or blindly following what some guy says on TV, or blindly following what the institutions do, is really a recipe for a disaster. And once again, I know this firsthand because this is the way I was taught to trade some 43 years ago when I first started trading. I was lucky enough to have some mentors who really pointed me in the right direction and what I feel have sustained me to be able to trade now for over 4 decades. So this is what my goal is, as you see here. My goal is not to force feed you signals. I don't want to tell you what the perfect market is. I don't want to tell you what the perfect time frame is. My goal is simply to teach you how to trade with a specialist edge. You see, a good mentor never trades for his student. He teaches the student how to trade. He guides them and points them in the right direction, but he'll never trade for them. That means he'll never give them signals. He'll never tell them where to buy, where to sell. He'll never tell them the perfect market or time frame. Those are things the individual trader has to decide for themselves, okay? This is the specialist edge, the same edge I was taught some 43 years ago and what has sustained me, and this is what we try to instill in all our students. Now, today we're going to be talking about a great new course we have that is perfectly formatted to this philosophy because it's all about educating you. And we truly believe that in this 5-week course, you'll take your trading to the next level, okay? So let's begin today's presentation. What we're going to be talking about is our new program. This is the PTS Primo Charting University. A lot of you will say, well, what exactly is this? I don't understand. Maybe you've taken some courses before. Maybe you've subscribed to our platform, but you're not really sure what this is. Well, think of it. I've been trading for roughly 43 years. About 12 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies. So we devoted our time just to educating you. Now, the only way we could do that in the beginning was by supplying you with videos of courses. And so you had to kind of learn on your own through these videos exactly what I was teaching you. And that was fine. That was great. All right. Now, what we've done is taken it up to the next level. We created the PTS Primo Charting Platform. This is something that really teaches traders how to trade because what we've done is taken over 4 decades of strategies, knowledge, tips, techniques, and methods, and then we've transferred them over onto this platform. So now you have the best of both worlds. As a student of mine, you'll have obviously the same recordings, the same links to all of the classes I have, but then you'll be able to transfer it and implement it with one click of your mouse and easy access with all of the strategies, all of the formats, all of the different techniques. 40 years right at your fingertips. So this is what we're doing. We're combining these two in our university. We're teaching you all these high probability trades and setups, and then we're showing you how to implement them on the platform. Okay, so exactly, who is this course for? Well, this course is designed for students who want to take full advantage of our well-rounded trading education, while at the same time having access to a vehicle that can implement that knowledge with one click of their mouse. So here's what we're going to be doing. Each week, I will take a concept, a technique, or a strategy that I've taught in the past in online courses, and then I'll take it to the next level by showing you how to directly implement it on our new PTS Primo Charting Platform. You see, most students who have taken my courses and have the links to the online recordings have to figure out everything on their own, and then they have to try to apply it on their own platform and think, wow, this is kind of difficult because I can't see exactly if I were right. Did I really properly identify a signal? Did I really properly trade the plan the exact way? Well, here with the platform, you'll see with one-click access if you properly identified a signal, if you are having a buyer's bias as opposed to a seller's bias. You'll learn all of these things, and it'll be right at your fingertips. So let's talk about this 5-week class curriculum, because remember, we're going to take your trading to the next level in just 5 weeks in our new university. They're going to be live classes taught once a week for 5 weeks, and let's go over what we're going to be talking about each week. All right, week number 1, we're going to be talking about the core concepts of trading. This is the basic format of everything I was taught by my mentors some 4 decades ago and what have sustained me. And we're going to really make it simple, and you'll understand the concepts, but at the same time, you'll be able to implement them on the platform. For example, here's the way most traders trade. They'll look at this chart in Zoom, this older chart in May, and say, well, obviously we're in a downtrend. You don't want to buy this. You want to avoid this. So what we're going to teach you is that we're not in a downtrend at all. We're actually in an overall uptrend. And so knowing that, rather than looking at this as something you should avoid, this is actually a buying opportunity, and you could have taken advantage of those lower prices for the ensuing uptrend. And this works the same way to the downside. Most traders would look at CHK and say, well, wow, Steve, look at this. Higher highs, 5, 6 higher highs in a row. You've got to buy this, right? Let's say you bought this, and you think that you're going to make a lot of money. Let's say you went to that chat room or that trading room and they love this stock. All right, you watch these online guys telling you what to buy, so you love it. You're long this, and you say, Steve, why would I not want to buy this? I already have a 1-2 day profit. This is great. Well, with what we're going to be teaching you and with one-click access, you'll know automatically that this was not an uptrend. In fact, this couldn't be any close to it. What you really had was an overall downtrend. This was further from an uptrend than you could find. And had you taken advantage of this to sell, what happened to all of the people touting this in the chat room or the trading room? Didn't last very long, right? Now, let's look at that example we shared with you in the beginning. Once again, with one-click access on our platform, you would have known where others would have seen this as something as just a range market, something to avoid. There's no action here. You would have known at this bar that there was a buyer's bias, that you should be looking for a buying opportunity. And then once again, the next day, the MT price jumped plus 250% in just one day. So no longer will you have to sit there and go, wow, I missed this one. Or wow, how did I know this one? These other people know this was going to go up and I always miss these things. You'll have that information at your fingertips with the platform. All right, that's all just covered in week 1. All right, let's take it now a next step further up until week 2. Now we're going to be talking about the only 2 types of trade setups that there are, because there really are just 2 types of setups. The problem is not so much in only having 2 types of setups. The problem is most traders will trade out of sync with the setup that fits their nature or their persona. For example, let's look at this example in Apple. Here's an older chart in May coming into June. Now, let's say you're a type 1 type of trader and you look for a type 1 type of setups. Well, these type of setups usually generate multiple signals. These are all type 1 type of signals, okay? Now, let's say you're a type 2 type of trader. Well, you like less signals, and type 2 signal setups always generate fewer signals. So you see, this is where it leads into a lot of traders losing money because you're out of sync. You think that you're a type 1 type of trader when in actuality, you may be a type 2. For example, when I first started trading some 4 decades ago, I fit into the type 1. I liked a lot of trades. I didn't mind buying high and selling higher. I wanted to keep on buying until, the trend ran out, and I didn't mind taking a loss at the end because I had had tons of winners before. Okay. Now, in my older age, I don't have enough time to do that. Plus, I don't have enough energy to be buying every 5 seconds. What I'm more interested in is finding a high probability area to buy at a lower level and just sitting and waiting. Okay. This is a type 2 type of style. All right. So what happens is most traders are out of sync with that. So you have to find and do some soul searching to see what best fits your trading persona. Once you do find that out, well, then it makes it so much easier, and we can just focus on whatever type you're interested in with your learning progress, okay? Now, that's week 2. Let's take it up a notch where we go into the basics of what we really are all about, and that's trend trading, because everything we teach is trading in sync with the trend. The only trouble is that every method, every strategy, every $10,000 course you've taken has a different way of determining what the trend is. We're going to share with you things that I learned some 4 decades ago and that I still use to this day that are the best, in my opinion, ways to define what the trend is because it detects it so early. For example, as we look at that chart in Apple again, we're only looking at 6 bars here coming into May. Someone would say, there's absolutely no way to find out, Steve, what the trend is. If I had to choose, I would say, well, look, we have a bearish engulfing pattern here. So that's telling me, since bearish engulfing patterns are reversal patterns, I guess it's telling me that we're going to go down. So I'll think that this is negative and we're going to start a downtrend. Well, with this tool I'm going to be sharing with you that I learned on the floor, it would not even have considered that. In fact, it would have done the opposite. It was saying at that very same time that this was the beginning of an uptrend. So why would you even want to look at anything else? Because, as you can see later on, it was right that Apple was starting an uptrend. You would have known that well before the masses were knowing that we were in an uptrend. Most people would not know that you're in an uptrend until right around here when you start to make higher highs, okay? Now, we're also going to teach you how to use and how to apply. This is a great, great tool that I developed with Pro Trader Strategies. It's called our Strength of Trend tool. Now, what this does is it has an uncanny ability to find out if there's still more move left in a trend. For example, someone could look at this Apple move and say, well, okay, Steve, I'll give it to you. You had a really nice call here with this trend, but it's running out of gas here. In fact, this last high was not confirmed. There's a discrepancy here. And on top of that, all the indicators are tremendously overbought. They've been overbought for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So this is way overbought. You've got to sell this. If anything, you should be selling your long position now and getting out of this because the trend is out of gas. Most likely it's going to come down to these levels right here. Fill this gap. May even come down to here. Okay? Well, with what we teach you with our Strength of Trend tool, it was actually telling us that there was most likely more room left to the upside. So it would have been the wrong thing to sell, and you could have stayed in the trade, perhaps even bought more if you wanted to, because look what happened. Apple was making new highs just a week later. Now, this will also work to the downside. I've showed this example before. This is in the spiders, the ETF that represents the S&P 500. Remember in March when the market was literally falling out of bed? Well, this same Strength of Trend tool in the middle of March flashed an early warning saying that most likely this downtrend is running out of gas to the downside. So if you're short, it's up to you. It's your decision. Once again, we don't ever trade for you. We just give you these high probability tools and techniques to help you make your decision. But right now you should be careful because we may be coming close to an end. And then a week later, it flashed another warning signal saying we are very close to coming to the end. And then a day later, it screamed a last warning saying, if you're short, you should probably cover everything. And if you're thinking about going long, get ready because most likely this is just running on fumes to the downside. There's no more momentum left. And then we've all seen what has happened coming into July. Okay. Now the question is, are we running out of steam to the upside, or have we? We just had a last couple of days in this last week were very strong moves to the downside. Have we run out of steam, or is there still room to go higher? This tool can help you make that decision. That is all going to be explained in detail how to use. It'll be right there at your fingertips. One-click access in week 3. We'll go into detail. Now, in week 4, we'll take it up a notch tremendously because now we add some structure. Up until now, we've just talked about concepts and techniques. Now we're actually going to apply some structure that will allow you to trade. This is where we talk about one of my favorite trading strategies. I'll go into detail explaining to you exactly the rules and how to implement this, and then we'll show you how to apply that on the platform. Now, this is strategy number 4. Let's look at this same chart once again, Apple, okay? Now, in the course, once again, you will learn all of the rules. You will know exactly what generates a valid buy or sell signal. But on top of that, we'll teach you how to implement that and how to check your work. Because once again, the platform was designed to be your second mentor. It was designed to check your work for you and to let you know of your progress. For example, let's say that you think you've spotted a strategy number 4 buy signal. Now, if I were sitting next to you 24/7, I could look over and look at your example and say, yep, you're right, or no, you're wrong, that's not valid. But you don't have access to me being there all the time, so what's the next best thing? Having a platform that can check your work for you. So once you have properly identified one in your mind, what you would do is click on strategy number 4 in our green strategy tab. You'll see this drop-down menu appear, and now simply click on signal arrows. It will show you where the valid buy signals are. Let's say you thought there was a valid buy signal right here. Once you click on signal arrows, guess what? You were right. So see, our goal is not to have you rely on this drop-down menu so that you can constantly just look at the arrows. Our goal is to have you look at a blank chart and be able to demise whether there is a up signal or a down signal. It's that simple. We don't want you to rely on anyone or anything else. I want to put the power in your hands so you can say, well, the market is in an overall downtrend. The market is in an overall uptrend. I have seen a strategy for sell signal here or a buy signal. That's what we want you to decide on your own. Now, let's say you want to decide ways in which to enter. You can use our confirmation method, which we'll teach you in the course, which would automatically have you entering right here. So if you want to check your work, it will automatically tell you the price in which the confirmation method where you should be entering your order. Now, exiting is a very important way in which to monitor your trade. We have upwards of 7 different methods for exiting. One of them we've placed on the platform. Those are our range extension exits. Once you click on that in the drop-down menu, look what you have here. 4 different levels for exiting, each with a profit. So you can decide on your own how you want to trade. You see how all this is making it so simple. Up until this time, you knew these concepts, but you would have to add and subtract them using your hand calculator and know exactly where they were, know exactly what a strategy 4 signal was based on, and then you would have to mark it on your own chart. Well, here it's all done automatically for you. Now, in week 5, that's our final week, and we talk about what I feel is probably one of the most important aspects of trading, and that's money management. Most people think that money management means, well, Steve, it just means that I have the right amount of shares or right amount of contracts, right? Or I just don't overtrade or oversell. That's not really true. It could be so much more than that. In fact, I'm going to be sharing with you advanced money management techniques in week 5 that I've only really shared with a handful of students that have taken previous courses, not this one because this is our first week, but previous courses, or I should say our first inaugural course, but previous classes I've taught were advanced courses I've taught for students. We talked about many of these money management techniques. Now let's just talk about stops, the simplest way to control your risk. Having said that, most traders really don't trade with proper stop placement. Either they don't know how, or they just say, well, I'll just watch it, and when the trade feels bad, I'll just get out. Or they say, well, I'll take a certain percentage, and when I'm losing so much of percentage, I'll get out. Well, what we've done is given you, once again, upwards of 6 or 7 different stop placement methods, and one of them we have on our platform. All you have to do is click on stop placement in the drop-down menu, and you'll automatically see just one of the generic ways in which to place your stop, okay? It's that simple. Now, this happens with buy signals as well as sell signals. And one of the nice techniques we can teach you is how to track your trade. For example, let's say you are going short RCL here, all right, based off this strategy 4 signal. Place stop placement, and that's where your stop's going to be, okay? So you go short, and you have a really nice trade here for 4 days. Maybe you take half of your position off the table, maybe you make some money, but you still want to let the rest run, the second portion of your position run. What you would do or could do is wait for another signal to be generated right here, and then simply click on stop placement, and when that one automatically appears, you would move this stop down to here, okay? So now you've locked in some profit, and you see it's going lower, and as each ensuing signal appears, you just simply click on stop placement, wait for the stop level to appear, and move this stop down to this one. So you're tracking with the different signals. And this is how you can control your risk, and this is how you can get more bang for your buck by simply using this technique. So there you have it. There's the 5 weeks, and I just taught you and shared with you the tip of the iceberg. There is just so much more we're going to be covering in detail. And remember, these are all live classes. Now, let me just share with you something that we'll be doing each week. What I'm going to be doing is sharing with you a trading plan. Now, there are literally dozens of plans, but sharing with you a plan each week that you can apply or at least grow off of and use this as a basic benchmark to construct your own plan, to use all these different concepts and techniques. So here's an example of just one of the daily trading plans you'll be able to execute with the help of the new PTS Primo Charting University. All right, let's take it step by step, okay? Now, the very first thing you want to do, because most traders will come into the game saying, well, Steve, I don't know what to buy. How do I know, there's thousands of stocks. How do I monitor all this? Well, remember, one thing I didn't mention that's available on the platform is that you have an amazing ability to scan in just literally minutes for thousands of stocks. Here's how you would do it. Step 1, perform a nightly strategy number 4 scan. So on our platform, once you open it up, you'll see the screen like this. Once again, click on strategy 4. In the drop-down menu, you'll click on scanner right here. And you'll see this page appear. This is our strategy number 4 scan page. All right, so what do you do from here? Well, you want to actually scan a list of symbols, right? Now, we provide you on our platform with symbols from all around the world, from all over the United States. So in other words, if you wanted to trade the S&P 500, you could. If you wanted to trade the NASDAQ, we provide you with that. Let's say you want to trade the European markets, the DAX market, you could do that. Let's say the Asian markets, sure, you could do that, the Hang Seng or the Nikkei. Let's say you want to trade Canadian, maybe you wanted to trade Bitcoin, maybe you wanted to trade currency pairs, E-mini futures. We have symbol lists for all those markets. Once you decide which one you're interested in monitoring, it's as simple as just clicking on load symbols, choose the one, and you'll see it appear in about 5 or 10 seconds. Now, for the sake of keeping things simple, we just pick the Dow Jones 30, okay? Now, after you have selected your symbol list, it's as simple as just clicking on scan. That's all you want to do. You want to scan through this list that you've decided upon. And in about 30 seconds, you see a series of red and green horizontal bars. The red bars mean that there is a sell signal in the corresponding stock. The green ones mean there's a buy signal. It's that simple, all right? So you can go through the entire universe and just check the setups for the next day or the next hour if you're scanning intra-bar. Now, let's see something that happened just this past couple of weeks. This was in Amazon, okay? A couple of weeks ago, a buy signal was scanned for and seen in Amazon. Once you punch up the chart, you would have seen, yeah, it's a valid signal, and there's an arrow underneath it. And let's say you decided you wanted to trade this, but you want to figure out this trading plan, all right? So once again, we go to click on entry, stop, and exit levels in the drop-down menu. All right, so the first thing we want to do is click on a particular entry. Let's use our generic confirmation entry. So this would have us enter at 26.9681, or basically a couple of ticks above the high of that bar. Now, you could purchase the calls if you wanted to, out-of-money calls. You could purchase some type of spread when it traded there, or you could actually purchase the stock. I realize it's an expensive stock, but let's say you purchased one share. Either way, when it reached that dashed green level, that's where you should be in, according to this trading plan. Now, the second stage is you want to protect yourself. So you click on stop. Using one of our generic stops, let's say you decide that this is okay. Now, let's say you say to yourself, well, no, this is a little bit too much risk for me. I can't risk this much. This is over 100 points. Even though I'm only trading one share, I can't risk this much. So perhaps you choose another exit level, or maybe you'd say, you know what, it's too much risk. I'm going to pass on this one and look for another setup. Let's say you did decide to use this setup. Now you want to figure where you're going to exit. So you say to yourself, okay, here are the 4 different exit levels using this one exit technique. There are 6 other techniques that are entirely different from this, but let's say you like this one. Now, a lot of our students use this differently. Some of our students would say, well, you know, Steve, once we get up to this level, what I do is I move this stop to unchanged. That way, if we go up and then roll over, at least I break even. Other students would say, well, Steve, every time we hit a level, I move my stop up. Next time we hit this level, I move my stops up. And then once we hit this level, we suggest that you get out of the trade entirely, because most likely that's where the trend changes, okay? Or you could just simply wait and sell a little bit at each level. It's entirely up to you. There are literally dozens of ways to trade. Remember, as I said in the opening statements, our job is not to trade for you. We do not have a chat room or a trading room where you come and I give you out orders telling you what to buy or what to sell. Our job is to provide you this high probability information that has stood the test of time and work with you so that you can decide how you want to trade. Why? I mean, someone would say, well, why do I have to do it that way? Because once again, in my 43 years experience of trading, the only traders who are still trading today, who have lasted, are the ones that make their own decisions. The ones who go to chat rooms or wait for earnings or who look at what the pundits are telling them to do on TV most likely have lost it and given it all back. So I don't want to teach you for a couple of weeks and then have you lose everything. I want you to be trading 10, 20, 30 years down the road. How do I do this? By providing you with this information that stood the test of time. So after viewing all this information, the basics, you could say to yourself, well, it doesn't seem that probable that this is going to work out. I don't think it'll reach these levels, or if it does, it's not enough for me what I'm risking. So you can decide not to take the trade. Or maybe you'll say, you know what? I think this stock's going to take off. I feel really strongly about the market, and yeah, this works perfectly for me. Remember, it's your decision. We do not have statistics or numbers at specialist trading because everybody trades differently. So it's your decision. Let's say you had decided to take this. Well, look what happened. We're going to make our decision based off what we feel, not what someone else is telling us. So the very next day, we got up to the first exit level. Now, you could have exited everything and said, wow, thank you. That was a nice trade. Made about 65 points. I'm out. Or you could say, you know what? I sold a little of my position. Now I'm going to move my stop here. Number of ways to do it. And on the second day, guess what? You went up to the next level. Let's say you hadn't sold anything yet. Maybe you wanted to move your stop right here. And then 2 days later, you actually would have exited right there at the main and highest level. This is how simple it is. So basically, in 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you could have made over 260 points, potentially, if you had used this trading plan. Remember, you're going to decide how you want to trade. We're just throwing these plans out there for you to help you make that decision. Now let's look at another one using the same trading plan with EHTH. Here's a strategy number 4, sell signal. You have your entry point right here. You have your stop placement, and here are your 4 exit levels. Now this one worked out very nicely. Look what happened. In the next week, we went all the way down. But this is a perfect example of why we always suggest to our students, especially in the beginning, that once you get to that 4th and final exit level, you should be out of the trade entirely. Don't hold on any longer. I know it gets kind of tempting sometimes because you feel, wow, I can just make so much more money going down to these exit levels. But trust me, it's been my experience that most of the time, the trend will change. Even after you exit, the trend will change. So it's better to take a 14-point gain than to hold on for a couple more days later and then give it all back, okay? So 5 weeks to taking your trading to the next level. Stop making the same mistakes over and over again. Believe me, I know what this is like. I know how frustrating and I know how really despondent you can get and how depressing it can be because I've been there. I was lucky enough to have someone teach me the exact same things I want to teach to you. The only trouble was when I learned these, I had to figure them out for myself on a piece of scratch paper, and I had to kind of make sure I was doing the right thing by looking, over my shoulder and going over everything with a fine-tooth comb. Now you have a platform that actually, with one click of your mouse, will reveal everything for you and will monitor to see that you're really on the right direction to your progress. The PTS Primo Charts University can help you become a more efficient trader in 5 weeks. So, become a student of the PTS Primo Charting University. Remember, this is the first time we've had this course. This is our first inaugural course of this. We'll probably most likely be having this once a year, but become one of my first students in this 5-week live class, okay? Let's go over how cheap we're really discounting this for you. Don't worry, it's not going to be close to $20,000. If you purchase this separately, all the information I'm sharing with you, over 4 decades of information that I've accumulated in 5 weeks of trading, all of this, if you did it individually, it would cost you close to $20,000. Don't worry, I don't want to scare you. We're not going to be anywhere near that. In fact, our regular initial price is $49.95. We're going to start class in roughly about a week. So you have 1 more week to take advantage of this discount. Starting next week, this is only going to last roughly for the next 24 or 48 hours. So we're discounting it to $44.95. So here's one other bonus we're sharing with you. The first 100 members will receive 12 months of the PTS Primo Charts free. So you're going to get that absolutely free. Now, we know a lot of our students already have the PTS Primo Charting Platform, but many of them only know how to use one thing on there, what they've been trading with, and that's it. So you're all going to still be able to learn tremendously more, even if you already have the platform. I'm sorry, one more bonus on top of that. There are actually 2 bonuses, and that's we still have payment plans available, but this is for a limited time. So if $44.95 is still too difficult, but you really want to take the class, don't worry. For a small discount, you can still be up and running and start the class next week with me. Remember, this is a 5-week live class with me. The same way this webinar is being formatted, we will format the university, but it'll be a much smaller class than we have today, and it'll be more intimate. Remember, there really is a holy grail. I know a lot of you have been searching for it, but there's a perfect trading method that generates amazing results. And guess what? It's called educating yourself. There really is no system. There really is no magic indicator. There really is no magic teacher that has all the answers. What has all the answers, though? What is the Holy Grail? It's education. That is what will sustain you. That is what will keep you going for 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. You see, a system taught by someone who's only been trading 5 or 10 years is just that. It's a system. But when the market changes, when the environment changes, most of those systems will hit the wall, and they'll most likely burn up, and they'll just blow up and give everything back. Trust me, I know this. I traded systems that had 10, 20 years of phenomenal back-tested results. And then I traded them for a couple of months. They worked great. And then when the market changed environment and when it just changed its energy, it gave everything back and it blew up. Nothing worked anymore. So the Holy Grail is not about a perfect indicator. It's not about a perfect system. It's about educating yourself with tons of high probability things that have worked and then making your own trading decisions. My goal is to have you in charge of all your trading decisions. You'll never see a chat room or a trading room at Specialist Trading. You'll never see me telling you what to buy or what to sell. That would be a disservice to you. That would be causing you to lose money. I don't want you to do that. I want you to learn and thrive on your own. That's what a good mentor does. And so that's my goal, and that's why we've formatted and constructed the PTS Primo Charts University. So here's how to take advantage of this. Remember, that special offer of $44.95 is only good for the next couple of days. If you call them right now, Pro Trader Strategies, at 310-598-6677, they have trading consultants manning the phones. They would be more than happy to establish a payment plan with you, or they'll just give you the number and you can think about it for the next day or so. But remember, that's for a limited time only, so don't sit on that. Make your mind up and really decide if you want to take your trading to the next level in only 5 weeks. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the sign-up page. And for more information, all you have to do is copy and paste that link, but a live link has been posted in the chat box. That's on the far right-hand corner of the GoToWebinar column. So all you have to do is click that on, and it will automatically open up that page for you. Now remember, I said I would reserve the last portion of today for any questions you may have. So if you do, go to the question and answer box, just open it up and type in your question, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Okay, first question someone's asking, when do the classes start? Well, tentatively, we have them set to start this coming Friday. That's the 31st, the last day, trading day of July. And we're going to start them starting the 5 weeks, and that's a tentative schedule. Now, we already have people signed up. If we sign up some more people in the next week and everyone takes a vote and decides that Friday is not the best day for them, then we're always very easily swayed to change that day. We can always be flexible and change it to a weekend, such as a Saturday like today, or even a Sunday. Or we can change it to another day of the week, We can be prior to the opening, after the close. It's really up to the majority of the crowd, okay? The next question, someone's asking, what time on Friday? Okay, usually we start these roughly around 10 o'clock Pacific time, okay? And the reason we have them at 10 o'clock is because many times, we'll be done in about a couple of hours, which will allow you the last hour to still be in the markets if you'd like. So we don't take up the whole trading, the half portion of your trading day. And also another advantage to have it on Friday, someone is asking, is because you have the entire weekend to study and to look back and research and study what we taught you on Friday, okay? Will there be homework? Yes, there will be. Each week I will give you a homework assignment, very simple, but just to check your progress to see if you fully understood what I was going over that particular week, okay? So that's really what it's all about. It's not just, I don't want to just share this stuff with you and say, good luck with it. I really want to make sure that you understand it and that you're able to apply it onto your own trading. Does this only work for stocks? No, that's a good question. Anything we're going to be teaching you can be applied to futures, to currency pairs, to Bitcoin, to commodities, as well as stocks. Also, any different time frame. This doesn't have to be daily bars. It can be weekly bars. It can be tick charts. Many of the things I'm going to be teaching you can be applied to intraday trading. So if you're an intraday trader, this is perfect as well. Okay. Now, I mainly intraday trade myself. My background is in intraday trading when I was trading on the floor. So that's the way I like to trade. So everything I'm teaching you, I'm using personally in my own intraday trading. Someone's asking me, do I intraday trade stocks? No, I don't. I intraday trade futures. So do you see how this can easily be transferred over onto futures as well? So it makes no difference what market, what time frame, and it makes no difference which direction. All of this can easily be transferred onto all of those. So remember, the basic format is we're going to be sharing with you what we've taught you online and the classes in the recorded courses that we had before. But then we're going to show you how easy it is to implement this on our platform, because we over the years, we've had a number of students who have said, Steve, your course is great, but it's difficult for me to figure out. I'm not sure if I'm doing it correctly. And this is one of the main reasons why we formatted the PTS Primo Charting Platform, because we wanted to devise a way for you to check your work. We wanted to develop it so that you could easily see, well, gosh, I'm correct. I properly identified that strategy for signal. Or we wanted you to make it simple where you say, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing, but I don't have time to figure this out. I need to know right now while I'm trading very quickly. And right there, everything is right in front of you. So this is the beauty of the platform. Everything is easily transferred onto the platform, and you'll be able, with one click, to access it right there in a matter of seconds. Okay. Another thing as well, someone says, will the scans be available? Yes, the scanning process comes with the platform. So you'll be able to scan all those different markets in just a matter of minutes. You can basically look at thousands of stocks and scan for them in less than a couple of minutes, and you'll see what the setups are for the next day. It's really, really a fantastic platform. It gives you so much information. And on top of that, it's really simple to use. I'm sure many of you who already have the platform already are amazed at how simple it is. It really is an easy thing to apply. So we just want to go over that and really make it simple for you. Okay, good questions. Remember, class is starting tentatively next Friday, the 31st at 10 o'clock PST, Pacific time. And so what we want to do is to make sure that we get, the classes all signed up, because we don't want to really go overboard and have a very large class. We want to keep the size to a minimum. That way it'll be more intimate and you'll be able to converse with me online and ask questions. If we have the classes too large, the way we've had a couple of them, some of them had 70, 80 people in a class, it was just too large to answer all the questions. So if we keep them down to less than 20, we'll be able to have, maybe 2 or 3 different classes that's scheduled at different times. But right now, we're just going to close the first class. And if we get more people signed up along the way, then possibly we will open up a second class. So that's why we say make your decision now, because once we hit that threshold, we're going to close the class. And even if we have 3 or 4 stragglers left over, we won't start a new class until we get roughly about 15 or 20 more people to sign up, okay? Okay. One more question here. Over the years, I'm sure that you came to realize that some strategies will work better in some time frames and other time frames. Will you share this with us? Well, yes, but remember, that's just my personal experience. Whereas over the years, other students say, no, these strategies work great in all time frames. So you see, there's no one right answer. Everyone has a different way of viewing the market. What you have to decide is what works best for you. Now, the only thing I can tell you is that different time frames, the smaller the time frame you decide to trade, the more signals you will have, but you will also have the more chances for losses. Why? Because that's the nature of a smaller time frame. You have a lot more whipsaws and what my mentors called noise going up and down. So you have to take the good with the bad. Obviously, if you go to a higher time frame, like let's say a weekly or a monthly bar, well, you'll have less signals generated because you're having less bars generated, but you'll have less faulty trades as well because you won't be generating as many signals. So it's all relative. It's all what you decide. But ultimately, there is no one right or wrong answer. In other words, some students will say, yeah, Steve, some work better on some time frames, other work better on other time frames. Whereas another student will say, no, they all work great on different time frames, no matter what. And someone will say, well, how can you have that? It's because you are implementing them according to your own means. Maybe one trader is entering at one place and another trader is entering at another one. Maybe you have a wider risk margin where the other one doesn't. You see, that's what helps in deciding whether something is working in different time frames or not. So there's never one right, correct answer. The only correct answer is when you're trading in your own means. That's really what it's all about, okay? You're more than welcome. It's going to be a great class. It's going to be great, lots of great information, ways in which to really take your trading to the next level in just 5 weeks. Think of it. What if I told you in 5 weeks, you could be trading with many of the things that took me 4 decades to accumulate? Just 5 weeks. That's how quickly it'll be, and you'll get a great understanding of these. Come along with me. Be a student of mine in this inaugural course. That's the PTS Primo Charts University, okay? As we close and take one last look at our disclaimer, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. I hope you have a great weekend, but most especially, I look forward to all of you becoming students of my class in the new PTS Primo Charts University starting next week. Thank you so much. Contact Pro Trader Strategies at the number I gave you there. There's absolutely no obligation. They would be more than happy just to give you a quote if you wanted to get a payment plan, okay? Thank you so much. I hope to see you in class next week. Bye-bye.